Senator Becca Rausch joined me for a video interview Thursday afternoon to discuss developments in the Senate. While she was pleased Governor Charlie Baker is using a data-driven approach in his four-phase plan to reopen the Commonwealth, Rausch told me she was disappointed child care wasn't addressed. Senator Rausch, thank you for joining us again this week. The big news, of course, on Monday, Governor Charlie Baker announced his four-phase plan to reopen the Commonwealth. First question, your thoughts?
Well, this is a really tough balance to strike, and I am certainly glad for the folks who are looking to get our economy sort of back in, kick-started, jump-started, what have you. We certainly are. We've put our economy in a medically induced coma, basically. So it is important for that to get rolling again for a whole host of reasons. I am also appreciative of the governor's statement that he wants this to be a data-driven approach, and that his strategy specifically says that it will be a data-driven approach. I have a couple of concerns that I think are not unique to me, certainly including childcare. We must view childcare, especially early education, but also for, in particular, our younger K-12 students, as part of our infrastructure, and we really don't get very much guidance about that at all in this particular phase of things. And we really need that in order for people to go back to work, and that frankly includes working from home, which I'm doing now as a parent of youngsters and many others, and it's very difficult. So we do need to have childcare, and I think we need a more robust approach for that if we're really going to talk about significantly reopening our economy. And I'm also a little bit worried about workers and employees and businesses, right? Businesses have to sort of figure out how to train employees regarding physical distancing and hygiene protocols, and they need to encourage their employees who might be exhibiting symptoms to stay home. And they also have to establish a plan for employees who might get sick, and also a return to work plan. But there isn't really any oversight for that baked into the strategy we've seen from the governor yet. And I'm also concerned that the onus for maintaining compliance with any sort of strategies that a particular business might implement, that onus is currently on the backs of employees and also customers. So that seems to be something of a tension to me, that I am certainly having some discussions about with my colleagues.
I have brought it up to everyone I have interviewed. Houses of worship were in opening up houses of worship, phase one.
Yeah.
People were surprised with that because of the logistics. I mean, packed synagogue, packed church, only 40% can come inside. I've never heard of a church accepting reservations in advance of a service. People I've spoken to, and including members of the clergy, have said it's too soon.
Yeah, I share that concern as well. I actually am a former choral singer, and don't have time for that anymore, of course. But one of the things you do in a house of worship is sing. And we've seen instances of choral groups coming together and rehearsing, even if they maintain 6 feet of distance between each other, and the rates of transmission are significant. So it does raise a level of concern for me as well, to reopen places where people come together to eat, sing, and generally be close to each other, for purposes of sharing in their faith. And I have seen my house of faith, my house of worship, and many others across the Commonwealth and the nation have figured out how to do this online. It's definitely not the same thing to Zoom into your weekly service, but I think it's better and preferable to getting sick. So yes, that's a tension as well. I certainly share that concern.
What is the latest on your bill to allow mail-in voting for the September 1st state primary, the November 3rd election? You realize, of course, you could be one of the reasons why the federal government, the White House, cuts funding to Massachusetts.
Well, that is an unfortunate stance that the president has taken. Right, our states, our obligation, all of us as elected officials, our first and foremost obligation is to serve the people we represent. And for the president, that is the entire nation. And we are at a time, frankly, where politics shouldn't matter. This is a life or death situation for many, many, many people, hundreds of thousands of people, and we are here to take care of our people. I am here to take care of our people. And frankly, I had the people first and foremost in mind when I wrote the 2020 Vote by Mail Act, when I filed it, and also as I continue to advocate for it. So getting to your question, I don't know. I'm not sure where we are. The hearing did happen last week, which was a great hearing, actually. We did talk about this the last time we came together. I've received a great amount of really positive feedback about having automatic vote by mail for both the primary and the general. Got great questions from the committee, and the committee is assessing, my understanding is the committee is assessing all of the various proposals on the table, from me, of course, and also from a few other folks. So we'll see. I am waiting with bated breath, just like everybody else, to see what happens with that committee process.
This is, of course, Memorial Day weekend. Far different than anything I can ever remember.
Me too. It's certainly not my usual schedule of running around to as many Memorial Day observances and ceremonies that I can possibly get to. It is, of course, a deeply important holiday for us to mourn the lives that our country has lost. And it just isn't going to be the same this year. I will be attending a very small in-person gathering at the Hillside Cemetery in Attleboro. It's effectively by invitation only because we just can't have that many people, but it's a 135-year-old tradition, and so I'll be joining a very small group of veterans, the Attleboro Veterans Department, and a few others to keep that tradition alive, even in the face of a global pandemic, and we will of course be maintaining physical distancing. So I send all my best wishes out to the families of the service folks whom we have lost, and I hope that others are able to honor those who have sacrificed their lives in service to this country in some way over the course of this weekend.
Have you noticed the number of constituents reaching out to you? Has that diminished at all as time has gone on?
I would have to check to be sure. It certainly seems like we're still getting a significant number of people writing in, or calling, emailing or calling to ask for help. We actually, over the last couple of weeks, also started sending actual postal letters to people. Our online presence is certainly reaching a lot of folks, but there are many, many, many people that I represent. And both I and my staff were worried that we weren't getting to everybody. We have a limited number of letters that we can send, of course, because that mail does have a cost associated with it, and we are in a budget crunch. But I'm pleased to say that those letters have been successful already, and people who have received those letters in the mail have been calling and emailing and asking for help where they wouldn't otherwise have even thought to reach out. So I'm really glad that that we made that happen, and that we are hearing from folks. It's maybe slowing down just a little bit, but we are still having our alternating Friday virtual office hours. We'll have another one tomorrow, or at least at the time of this taping, it'll be tomorrow. From 10 to 12, and people can always go onto my website and sign up for a 15-minute slot. We do this by phone or by video conference, same way we're doing this interview.
And I teed up the perfect segue. If people do want to reach out to you or a member of your staff, what's the best way to do so?
As always, still the number is 617-722-1555. We check that. I know it just rolls off the tongue, right? We do check that voicemail multiple times a day, on Monday through Friday, even though we are, of course, not physically in the office. You can always email me directly, becca.rausch@masenate.gov, and either I or a member of my staff will get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. And of course, there's plenty of information at beccarauschma.com/COVID-19. That's information specific to the pandemic, the state response. There's information about your upcoming town local elections. Needham's election is next week, and several are coming in the month of June, all throughout the district. And it is, of course, important to make sure that everybody votes. So that information is up there as well.
Well, Senator, as always, a pleasure. We'll see you next week at this time.
I look forward to it, Peter. Thanks so much. Be well.